What happens when you miss the life insurance payment? Does your policy lapse right away? In this video, I'm going to walk you through the timeline of after missing a payment and how to get back on track so your family remains protected and your policy doesn't lapse. First off, the good news, most states require a grace period after a missed payment. So you typically have 30 to 31 days of, if you were to pass away, your family would still be protected, they would still get the death benefit. If the insurance company were needed to pay out to your family, what they would do is they would just deduct your premium from your total life insurance death benefit, and that's how your family would get paid. So, if your death benefit is $500,000 and you pay about $45 a month for it, they would just deduct that $45 from the $500,000 and your family would get the difference. So not much would be actually reduced from that death benefit payout to your family. Now, if you go beyond the grace period, so after day 31 or so, and then you were to pass away, your family would get nothing after that. So beyond the grace period, the policy completely lapses, coverage is completely gone, and anything that were to happen during that time point, your family would get nothing. So the ideal scenario is get back on track with the payments during the grace period. If you wait for after the grace period, it gets a little bit more complicated. Now, most carriers will allow you to reinstate your policy after it lapses. The typical time frame is about 3 to 5 years after a policy lapse that you can renew that policy or get that policy back. But there are some catches that come with it. First off, a big one is 30 to 90 days after the policy lapses, you will be subject again to health questions. So this is particularly important because if you had a health change or health episode that may make you uninsurable, the company can come back and say, no, we're not going to insure you again at these rates or maybe at all. And then you're probably be left without any policy to your name and no protection for your family. So the biggest issue that you'll probably run upon if you do let your policy lapse and you want to reinstate it is a health change. The health change is a big part of why you'll want to keep the policy active while within the grace period and not go beyond it. Now, the other caveat in order to get it reinstated is, let's say you waited 2 years to go back to the insurance company and say, hey, I want to get this policy back and reinstated. Well, the insurance company will say you have to pay all the premiums that you've missed during this point plus interest. Most of the time, I think the interest is about 6% capped, and most companies will have you at that 6%. So you'll have to pay everything back up plus interest in order to reinstate your policy. So the cost is going to be way higher to reinstate your policy than to, maybe shop around for a new one if you don't have that money to give them up front. So quite honestly, even if you are pretty healthy, letting your policy lapse for that amount, it'll still cost you. At that point, you may just be better off getting a new one and going through the process all over again if you don't want to dish out maybe a grand or two in order to get your policy, fully reinstated. Now, if you miss the insurance payment because the premium is genuinely too big, there are options that you can go about to still keep your policy. A couple options can also include, calling your agent and just switching the date of when the premium comes out. You can maybe make it be right after payday. So if the timing of the payment is difficult, then make it right after payday or a point in time that best works for you. Another thing you can do is you can lower the death benefit to lower your monthly premium. So if the premium is just too much for your budget right now, you can always lower the death benefit from, let's say you had a $500,000 death benefit, you can lower it to $300,000. That's going to change your premium payment, and that could be the difference between letting your policy lapse and having your family be unprotected, or keeping your policy and that protection that your family deserves. And if you're curious about how much less your policy payment could be or what it could be at different levels of death benefit, I do have a calculator linked in the description. Go ahead, click that, check out the calculator, get a better idea of what the payments are like, and what you could potentially fit into your budget as well. So if this video gave you some insight you didn't have before, please give a like and subscribe. I talk about life insurance on this channel. And if you have any further questions, feel free to message them down below and I'll definitely get to them. Thanks so much.